I'm Nathan Berkeley, Associate Vice President for U.S. Strategies at the Religious Freedom Institute. I'm here at the International Religious Freedom Summit 2025 in Washington, D.C., and I'm joined today by Pepperdine University President Jim Gash and my boss, RFI President David Trimble. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. Great to have you with us. We want to talk first about a partnership that RFI and Pepperdine entered into last October. What's your vision, President Gash, for that partnership?
Yeah, well, as you know, Pepperdine is a Christian university that is committed to the kinds of ideals, global vision for faith around the globe that RFI is. And I've had an opportunity over the years to get to know the RFI team, starting with Tom Farr and others, and now with David Trimble. And so this idea has been germinating for a while. Byron Johnson, who was one of the RFI originals, is now working with Pepperdine as well. And so as David and I spent some time together, we started to dream about what it would look like to have the leading think tank, the leading organization in religious freedom around the globe, RFI, partner with an institution like Pepperdine, who already has a global footprint through our global justice program and our campuses abroad, but who cares deeply about the religious liberties around the globe. And to say, what if we took one of the leading academic institutions in the country and took the leading religious freedom institute in the world and paired them together to prepare students who are not just Pepperdine students, but students around the globe to become leaders in this in the future, but also to do academic programming in Malibu, where our beautiful campus is, in Switzerland, where one of our campuses is, in London, where we were together this past year, and try to form something, take 2 plus 2 and make 6 with it to serve the world that is really wrestling with issues of religious freedom that RFI is already there. And so we're investing both personnel and resources into this partnership, and we're thrilled with how it's begun.
Well, David, you've been a close collaborator with Pepperdine for many years. Is there anything you want to add about the way you look at this partnership that sort of complements what President Gash mentioned?
Yeah, well, it's a really special day for us to engage in this partnership with Pepperdine and with Jim leading this and his staff. You know this, Nathan. I mean, our student programs over the last 5 to 6 years have drawn students from 150 plus universities across the United States and 9 or 10 different countries around the world. And so to step into a relationship where you are singularly, looking to the future with one university, it has to be a special university. And that, no doubt, is exactly what Pepperdine is. And that's what really drew us to Pepperdine. Just really the staff, and over the years having some engagement with the staff, the way that I was able to meet Jim early on, and then over the years get to know Jim better recently. And so their relationship to us has grown, and their commitment to their Christian faith is firm. And I sense that we are on the same page and in a real sense called to work together to advance religious freedom. Amen. So it's just a great opportunity for us. Yeah.
Well, our next the next example of our partnership is going to be this spring, a statesmanship seminar. The Statesmanship and Religious Freedom Seminar is our premier university student program, and we're going to have it on the campus at Malibu. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, you know me. I'm so excited about our statesmanship seminar. It's really RFI's flagship seminar. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say, it's a flagship seminar in Washington, D.C., anchored there, going into its 6th year. And the vision was to anchor it in Washington, D.C., and to dream, a little big, and anchor it, also in London. And we've seen that happen now going into our 4th year. But beyond that, the vision really was to develop some regional seminars to reach more students, regional seminars across the United States. And we've done that in Philadelphia. We've got great hopes in Houston to plant a Southwest seminar. But immediately our relationship with Pepperdine gave us an opportunity that we've been looking at for 2 or 3 years. And that was planning a statesmanship and religious freedom seminar on the West Coast, and naturally drawing some of the brightest students that are in California from Pepperdine University itself, but there are other universities there on the coast and in adjacent states that we would want to draw on, bring to the Pepperdine campus, and I think have this impact where you're teaching them the first principles and fundamentals of religious freedom so that they really come to understand it and embrace it as a young person, and it becomes part of who they are and their career path moving forward.
Yeah, that's great, David. So this morning we held an event. Pepperdine and RFI jointly sponsor an event from the main stage here at the IRF Summit. And the Chief Justice of Kenya makes an announcement for an IRF Summit Africa in Nairobi.
Yeah.
Jim, what are the main goals of this new endeavor that we're going to do together with the IRF Summit?
Well, the main goal is to continue and expand the good work that's already happening with the IRF Summit here in Washington, D.C., and to give an opportunity for those who are in the Global South, particularly in the African continent, to be able to participate in person in the kind of conversations that we have here, but to do so in Africa with the involvement of the chief justices of the continent. And so that's kind of been the entry point in for us. Pepperdine has been involved in Uganda for about 15 years now. I've been going back and forth myself 30 times in the last 15 years to work with the judiciary. That's turned into an opportunity to help them with dispute resolution in the criminal justice realm and in the civil justice realm. But now it's turning into not just Uganda and not just in dispute resolution, but to the entire continent, led by Ugandans who have brought in the other chief justices. And now we've got 14 chief justices from the continent of Africa saying rule of law, dispute resolution, religious freedom are important to us. Why don't we have a conference in Africa about Africa for Africans joined by the rest of the globe together? And we couldn't be more excited. We would not have taken this on ourselves without the partnership of RFI, because RFI has a lot longer history and a lot deeper connections around the globe in religious freedom. But we are excited to be partnering not just with RFI, but with the continent of Africa, led by the Chief Justices of the continent. And the Chief Justice of Kenya, Martha Koome, has been an incredible partner over the last year or so as we've gotten to know her. We've got a couple students who will be interning for her over the summer. We have students with the Chief Justices of Kenya, of Uganda, of Rwanda, and of Ghana over the summer, law students. And we're growing our involvement to over 20 now countries that are eager for the kind of partnership and training that Pepperdine's been able to bring in dispute resolution, but now to expand that lens and include things that are so critical to the rule of law, which is the foundational freedom of conscience and faith. And so we couldn't be happier about this. And what's it going to look like? Well, we're still figuring that out. I mean, we announced today for June 16th, so it's giddy up time on making sure that we're ready for it. But we'll be leaning on our friends at RFI to help us plan what that looks like.
Excellent. Well, David, I know you view IRF Summit Africa as a wonderful sort of expression of this emerging partnership.
I do.
Share a little bit more about your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so I really do. And, really embedded into the DNA of RFI is the connection between religious freedom and rule of law. And this can be found in many pages of works that we have written and many of the events that we've put on. We're always drawing a connection to rule of law, religious freedom, and how these are the underpinnings and the bedrock foundations for human flourishing, for societies. And so I've just been so encouraged by the work that Jim and his team have done in the Sudro Global Justice Institute, and becoming familiar with that really now for at least a decade or longer, and their work in justice reform and rule of law. And so, I just began to think about the continent of Africa. It's been on my mind for some time, and some of the experiences I've had there, and just observing that it seems to be a real focal point in the world where there's heightened persecution, there's intense civil strife, there's instability, and there's persecution of women and children, and some horrible atrocities across the country, and particularly in Nigeria. And there's such a real need. But I've also noticed that the people of faith in Africa seem to be ripe, hungering for a movement. And they want to get along, and they want to support each other's faith. And I thought, what a great opportunity this would be. And with our partner, Pepperdine, really having this extensive footprint into the judicial system and into the leadership of so many nations there on the continent of Africa, they really opened so many doors that I think we can walk through together with the IRF Summit, that I think this event in June is going to be fantastic, and I think it's going to be exemplary to the world, and certainly that's what I'm praying for.
Amen. Amen.
Jim, David, thanks for your time.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thanks, Nathan.